Bromeliad House. It's out.
It is.
It's out in the world. Before we get going, before I have questions for you, could you give our dear listeners a elevator pitch for the book?
Yep. Bromeliad House was once a sprawling heirloom estate on Florida's Treasure Coast, which we just discussed, and now is a crumbling relic of a family worn to its barest threads. Within these walls, Delphine Pembroke began seeing the ghosts or doppelgangers of loved ones before they died, which is a phenomenon known as a fetch.
I didn't know that, and I highlighted it as I was like, "Fetch? Is that?" I'm like, "Okay," because I've seen that in other stories. I've seen that phenomenon pop up in like recently people seeing, spirits in mirrors. I'm like, "Oh, there's a name." Okay,
definitely. It's more the phenomenon of seeing someone's doppelganger, which is just a concept that has frightened me since I was a kid. I think I read an old Native American story about seeing the doppelganger of somebody and knowing that they would pass, and that has been something that has absolutely scared the shit out of me my whole life. So
you are allowed to curse, so don't worry about that.
Oh, excellent.
This is not a podcast for children.
Excellent.
As I've said on the air multiple times. This isn't for kids. If you're a child, I guess if you're like me when I was a child, you're probably fine. But if you're not, wait a while. Come back. Come back when you're growing up. I grew up in Florida. I saw this pop up on my feed. I don't know how I think someone else, I think it might have been Paulette Kennedy, maybe. She might have plugged you and I went, "Oh wait, in Florida book?" And I'm like, I followed you and I was like, "Oh, I gotta save this book." Florida Gothic. My friend Wendy Dalrymple, I saw her throw that term around a lot when I first came back to Florida, and she has a couple of them, and I'm like, it speaks my language. And I lived in South Florida, and I worked in Jensen Beach, which is on the Treasure Coast. Yep. Mentioned. So there's lots of scenes, a lot of places in this book that I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that. I know those places."
Nice.
Or at least, familiar enough with them. I have lots of questions for you. Some of which I might have to wait until we're off air because they're spoilers, which I'm going to avoid. People should go buy the book. They should go read the book. And if then they will probably have the same questions I have, but some of those are, I think, best left unanswered. At least on air. I'll make grill you after we're done. I'm going to start with mysteries.
Okay.
Because the book there's not just one mystery. There's a lot of orbiting mysteries. Some are supernatural. Some are historical. Some are just like men are bad. Men are bad mysteries. We got to watch out for them. So, and this is the thing that I think about a lot. I've thought about a lot in my own writing, especially recently. When do you let those mysteries surface and recede, especially when you're juggling multiple ones? When do you move them into the spotlight? When you pull them back? When is it just, I want to keep it fresh, so we're going to juggle them around? Is it, well, this one is this is more meaningful right now for the second act, we're going to move something else to the third act? Is it a mixture of both?
I think most of it, I'm more of a plant star. I'll kind of lay that down. So
okay.
I can outline to my heart's content, but my characters do the work. And so everything just kind of comes out organically. So for the most part, I layer in, and all my books are like this, there's multiple plots going along. And so I layer them in initially as I see it should happen. But that's not always how it actually happens. So I kind of let everything kind of take its own scene and turn a spotlight when it needs to. Okay. And then when I go back in revisions, then things do tend to make sense to kind of pull them in early or push it back later. And so if that answers your question.
I mean, it's like, I think there's always a mixture of in every author's answer is different, which is what I find so fascinating, because it is, some of it's like, oh, I just felt like it, and you're like, well, that's, when I'm trying to glean, how can I make my own writing better? I'm like, well, I can't instinct. What if I don't have that instinct? Well, I mean, but it's also like a matter of sometimes it is unexplainable how I knew to do that. It just, I instinctually, I've read a lot of stories. I've read a lot of stories that I obviously write something that I want to read. So that's all it comes from. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think timing things. I mean, it's just like even in romance, like timing the perfect kiss. Yeah, obviously you have to lead up to a certain amount of tension where it seems like it makes sense, or like you're at a boil point, something has to be revealed. So I think that's, I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to is when you try to like flush out a problem and figure out where to take the story from there is just needs to happen. I do really think it has to happen organically. So.
I mean, there's also like it's a lot of it's feel and vibes and like, well, I need how much patience do you want to give a reader, allow a reader when they're like, all right, these two need to kiss. I'm getting tired of this. Which you I think you got it. You didn't. Yeah, I was just gonna say no. You're fine. I feel like it was the right amount of time, but I was there. I have experienced stories in the. Can you move a little bit to your left?
You're like, come on.
Can you move a little bit to your left?
Oh yeah, sure.
Just stay right there-ish. You don't have to stay perfectly in the middle, but I try and
Gustavo.
No, you're right. You're good there. I have been burned in the past with stories with the will they won't they stories that they just become won't they's because they never. Yeah. I'm like, if I'm reading it, if you tease me for too long, I'm gonna leave.
Just put it down. Yeah.
I was gonna say, come on, get to it. So this story is it's been called a Florida Gothic, but I think it feels there's certainly, I think, the more traditional Gothic elements in it, but also certainly elements of the Southern Gothic.
Yeah.
With old rotting houses and yes, and rotting families, things like that. And your book indulges in certain tropes of both of those genres and subgenres, myriad of subgenres that trail down from them. How do you weigh out what you want to use when you did you know that this was going to be like, I want to write a Florida Gothic okay.
Yeah.
Was that weighed out in your head? Like, I know what tropes I'm going to be indulging and what tropes I want to reject.
Not really. It was more a sense of, so a few years ago, I released the book Stars Like Gasoline, which is a genre bend. Everything I write ends up being a genre bend, which is probably now why I'm not, wildly successful. That's what we're going to blame it on.
I see all these agents who want genre bending in their manuscript wish lists.
Well,
I don't know if I believe them, but that is what they say.
And Stars Like Gasoline, I call it a romantic suspense with ghosts. It has a strong magical realism. It's not even a subplot. I mean, it's a huge part of the plot because it's magical realism, which in a sense is magic happening within the real world. I mean, that's like the definition of it. And it takes place in the same area in the Treasure Coast. And there's some of the characters in Bromeliad House, or there's a crossover. And because there are instances of it being spooky, I think it airs on Florida Gothic. So when I went into Bromeliad House, when I had this initial concept and I sat down to write the first few pages, and I was like, this is absolutely going to go full on Gothic. I wanted to take away from the question of whether it can be called a Gothic novel. And I just wanted it to be full on. Definitely Florida, definitely my voice, but I wanted it to have no question as to whether it was a Gothic novel or not. So.
I mean, yeah, that's the... I don't know. I quote Tanya Pell, who's been on this podcast, and said, she's like, there's no such thing as too much in Gothicism.
Yeah.
More is more when you're writing Gothic. And I'm like, that is stuck in my head. I've even told her that. I'm like, you said that, it's stuck in my head ever since.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it made me realize that's what I like about Gothic stories, is that there's so much. It's everything. Every emotion is so much emotion.
Right.
So much yearning, which Delphine certainly has. Um. Uh. I will. Let's see. We'll go with this one, just because this ties into it. Because, and speaking of more is more, that applies to language as well, applies to the prose. When is there a measured, like, in your mind of like, this is a spot where I know I'm gonna go hard with lyricism, with poetry, make the prose a little bit more pretty, etc., less maybe utilitarian,
Yeah.
versus when there are moments where you're stripping that away and trying to just, well, like, this character is running through the rain, it has to be descriptive.
Yeah, uh, absolutely. And my writing tends to err more on being lyrical anyway. I definitely tend to overwrite and have to go back and chop. And I actually highlighted this and I screenshot it because my two editors were like, all right, you got to pick something. You got to pick the Florida holly or you got to pick the poinciana tree or whatever the tree was. Just like, we can't have both. And I'm like, why though? Like, why?
Yeah, why
So
can't you have both?
yeah. So I think when we were trying to pare down my word count because it was coming in a little too high, a little too high. I was like, okay, fine, we can cut some of it. All the descriptions of just being sticky and bug ridden and
Oh,
fine.
I don't see. I that's my what I want. I want sticky and bug red, and that's why I'm reading this book.
Yes, yes. But I mean, we also had to make word count and make it so that people, but the
Yeah,
pacing.
you can't have the book. I know.
Yeah.
No 200,000 word books.
But there was a lot more of the property and like the Hong Kong orchids full of ants and just all of the things that makes Florida just like really hard to walk through on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah, they don't. I don't think non people who have only visited or aren't from here don't really understand. I grew up in the woods. I A distinctive memory of me is like being swarmed by fire ants. So I'm like, I have that. It's a dark seated memory in me. That's all I can. Whenever I see ants, that's all I think about.
yep, absolutely.
But it was like, were there moments where you're like, well, pick and choose the lyricism? I know I really this I like this more. This is prettier to me, so this stays. Is it really that?
Definitely. There were some where I was like, I really want to keep this because it it's my voice too, and I think
Right.
what makes my storytelling stand out, at least in my sense, and makes it feel more like me, is that it needs to be a little bit more flowery, a little bit more tropical. And then I'll throw in, the violence and all of these things
Of course, of course.
because we need contrast.
I mean, yeah, yes, yeah, literally. Um, has there ever been a push pull of like stripping too much of your voice away? Is that ever a worry?
Um, I don't. I always worry about it. In this book, I didn't. I did worry for a minute when we were cutting a lot, but my editors didn't want to strip my voice, and that was
Okay.
like they were really good about it. In my fantasy series, I did have an issue with some of the editors, but that was a whole different thing. And I had to when I got my rights back to the series from my former publisher, I re-edited it, and it felt more like me. But I definitely didn't have the problem with this. It was just really stripping it so that the pacing was better, I think.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that's where my editors always come in clutches, keeping me on pacing.
I think I have the opposite problem. Uh, People are like, Robbie, slow down a little bit. It's okay. Slow down. And I think that's my concern all the time is I go too fast and I pull away too much of my own language. That actually, I think is what you said. It's you.
It
That's
is.
how you find you in your book. That's your name's on the cover. They want you.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
At least ostensibly, they want you.
Yeah.
Um, this is a thing it strikes up in one of the mysteries, is that Delphine is being stalked. That's not a spoiler. And it is the mystery is like, who is this? Who is this person? Who is this man? Um, I don't. Was that in your mind as like I don't know. It felt like men as predators. Men are dangerous. Was that like an intent, like it feels like an intentional theme that kind of is an undercurrent running through a lot of the stuff. Because at a certain point, I was like, I don't trust any of these men.
Don't trust any of them.
I don't trust it. I mean, even I'm like, I really didn't want it to be Rhett because it would have destroyed me, I think.
Yeah.
I won't spoil who it was, but it was, there was like, but I don't know. Were you aware of that as you were like, because that's a big undercurrent I picked up. Was that like as you were working through that it came
I did.
out?
I wanted it to feel like you didn't know who to trust.
Okay.
I mean, you would hope it wasn't her cousins, or family, and really hoped it wasn't Rhett. You don't know. And
No, and I don't know you do it's I would want to applaud you because it really is. It feels, and it's effective because I was like, oh, is it that guy? Is it that guy? I'm like, it could be.
oh, good.
And then I think, and Delphine, I think is also stays out of those. I really hate the mystery books with mystery. This is a quote unquote a mystery, but books with mystery where the main character is just an idiot.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, come on. They would figure they would at least suspect people. Right. And Delphine is like keeps her head on a swivel. Even though she sometimes is like, oh, I'm gonna stay in that spooky house all by myself. You're like,
I gotta do it, man.
I mean, there is. I mean, but it is the. I love the renovation aspect of it, of literally renovating the haunted house, and was that just fresh? Did you see that somewhere? I don't think I've seen that anywhere else.
Renovating a house.
Renovating a gothic, the haunted gothic house before. I don't know if I've seen that anywhere.
I've had okay, so my husband and I, when we initially moved back to Miami, we were in Boston, we were here, we moved back to Miami when our daughter was 2. She's 22 now. And we bought this old 1926 Spanish house that needed a ton of work. And my mom also had this house for the longest time. She bought it when I was really, really little. And it was one room built by the guy who sold it to us. Actually, that's not true. His son sold it to us. He was supposedly buried in the back.
Oh, okay.
So my next book actually has to do with this. There's this weird limestone wall at the back of the property, and everyone's like, yeah, you don't go there. Like, my dog wouldn't even go to poop there. So it was just there's like a weird scene. It's a huge, like, 1.3 acres of land, 6 mango trees, like this big piece of, like, South Florida property and it had one huge section that went all the way down to the 836 expressway that we called the jungle when we were kids. And we cut a path through it, and I don't even know what's there, but I came out with new bites and new scratches every time we were in there. So we spent probably my entire life renovating that house. And it was poured concrete walls and painted with oil paint. So every time we would try to paint over it, the old paint would bleed through, and it was this maroon color. And it was just like, it like bled. And so
I feel like you had to become a spooky author.
Yeah.
I feel exactly. Like that. I feel like it was like destiny.
Yes. And just, my mom had this crystal blue paint that she got on sale at Home Depot, and every time we'd put it on, this damn maroon would come through. And so between that house and then the one that my husband and I were renovating, it was just, yeah. I was like, you know what? I need to write a book that involves just the absolute shitstorm of renovating a house. So
yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it's generally horrible in general, but I mean, like especially when the house is haunted.
Yeah. It's just honestly though, sometimes when things go wrong in my house, I'm like, could it be a ghost? I mean, that would be. Really cool.
Sometimes it would be simpler than You're like, oh, I need a new fence. You're like, I don't want to buy a new fence. The joys of home ownership. Oh, there's a rat in the ceiling. Not a ghost. It's just a rat. It's worse. I would take a ghost over a rat at this point. I've been victorious over the rat so far. Coming back for anyone who's checking on Robbie's rat updates. Robbie's winning.
A raccoon living underneath the front. We have like an overhang, and we had a raccoon. Or actually, I think it was a whole family of raccoons. Yeah, they do.
It's never one. It's always a bunch of raccoons. Yeah. Our old apartment we had fat raccoons that We'd eat the cat food we would leave out for the outdoor cats, which it's not for the raccoons. That's for the cats.
Yeah, you can't tell them that though.
No, I told them with a broom, go away. They didn't care. Those raccoons are fearless. They were not afraid of me and my broom.
Yeah.
And I think, well, like another thing I think that obviously is a trope of Gothic, of especially of Southern Gothic, is like this push and pull of more modernity and age and rot and entropy. And Florida is like, again, why it's such a great setting for stories like this, because it has both of those things. Right. People are constantly building new things and tearing down old things, and the old things are always rotting because the humidity is so bad.
Yeah.
Is this house based on any real house that you've seen, or is
Not
it just
really.
you build it up yourself?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Franken house. There are a few houses in the Vero Beach area that I kind of took inspiration from. I'm totally blanking on the name right now. I think one is the Gamble House, which is the same as like there's a Gamble Mansion in Boston as well. But I think it's the Gamble House, and then there's another one in Vero that are really old. And I wanted Bromeliad House to predate those because I wanted it to be really set like a house or an estate that settled the area. Because I mean, we find out obviously Arid Pines Beach it's a fictional town on a fictional isthmus. So I just kind of like to change the topography of Florida a little bit for the fun of it. But I thought if it predated, then it was just really like a more of a settlers kind of situation.
Right. I have a story set in the Keys where I created a key.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I like making my own place.
Yeah,
in a
absolutely.
story.
Yeah.
I not that Florida doesn't have a lot of weird places, but if I build it, I get to make the rules for it.
Exactly.
That's my mindset, at least. But there are people I know. There are authors who will refuse. They only use real settings, and I largely don't. I don't know. Yeah. I like making my own thing. We're out of time. We're not out of time. There's no time limit, really. I'd make the time limit, but I'm going to say we're out of time for the first segment. But everyone listening should go get Bromeliad House. It's out now. You should go buy it. We'll still probably talk about it as we go. But we can move on to the second act, which is broader bookish questions and writing questions. Okay. And my first question is from my last guest, and then I will ask you for a question for the next guest at the end of the segment. It can be anything, writing related or not. Obviously, most of them are writing related, but you can feel free to think widely. And this does relate back to Bromeliad House because it is about Delphine. And because your question is from Jackie Sonnenberg, my last guest, another Floridian. Her question is, what is your main character's morning routine?
Delphine's kind of an wash and go kind of girl, not really high maintenance. She kind of gets up, showers, doesn't look in the mirror, has some coffee, and is out the door. And sometimes someone provides her with some sort of sustenance. But she kind of just wants to get going. So she's really just a get up and get out and get on with her life and do her own thing.
This is not part of Jackie's question, but it is part of my question because I feel like it is a definition of how people wake up. How many alarms would Delphine have?
I think she might have two.
I
think she might be like the one that tells her it's time to get up and the one that tells her to really get her ass out of bed.
Okay. All right. How many alarms do you have?
None. I actually can tell myself exactly when to wake up when I wake up.
That's
a superpower.
That is crazy. I can't imagine that. Yeah. Okay. I have one alarm. That for the record. I'll answer the question to be fair. So thank you for that question, Jackie. My first question is a question I ask everybody, and who is a writer more people should be reading? And you can give me more than one name if you'd like.
Oh gosh, okay. I love C.A. Farron. She's a personal friend, but she wrote one of my favorite fantasy series ever, the A Dreamer's Misfortune series. It's a complete trilogy now, and she also has the Ballad of the Last Dragon too, which is a really funny bard-led fantasy adventure. And I think that came out last year. She's fantastic. And I just think if you like fantasy, especially like adventure fantasy and found family, she's a fantastic writer.
Okay.
And then you had Paulette on here, and I've read all of Paulette's books because I think she's
great.
fantastic.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Like
I mean, we can shout out her again. People should go read Paulette Kennedy.
Yeah. And then, well, we already talked about Wendy, because I'm definitely into the Florida Gothic. And then Nikita Bell, super cool. She's also an LA girl. She writes and illustrates all of her books. So all of her covers are done by her, and then she has illustrations, like graphic novel style illustrations that are the chapter headers, and they're phenomenal. So,
I'm so jealous of authors who can draw, who can design. Like, I can design,
yeah,
but I can't draw. I can't make my own art, and I'm like, oh god, if I could just do that. If I could be self-sufficient, I'd just hire one less person. I'll be that person. It's a good list. I'll have links to all that in the show notes for people to go buy those books, or at least to go check them out. They should do that. Hey, if you're listening, go do that. I spend a lot of time doing that every week. People should go check them out. Please do it. Where do you write, and why do you write there at that location?
I used to do a lot of writing on my beanbag, which is behind me. It's my most comfortable spot. I'm in my office right now. I have a beautiful desk, but I really just do revisions and editing here now, mainly because I have a really weird bulldog, and I have to make sure that she's gone out, and then she gets weird if I leave downstairs anyway. So I do a lot of writing on my couch now. That's probably the bulk of it. But definitely at home. I'm really not good at writing when there's other distractions. So.
On the couch because of the bulldog.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird in what? Can you describe how weird?
Okay, she's like really weird. She's wonderful. She's really sweet. She was our foster fail after my soul dog died.
I mean, I do love the dogs in Bromeliad. I do love them both. Those, even though they're not. Again, I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. How they're sort of in the book, but they're sort of not. But yeah. I love them anyway.
They'll always be in the book. They're her little familiars. So Fiona, she went into rescue having been locked in a crate basically her whole life and tried to chew her way out or something. She has all broken teeth, and she's just a little bit of a weirdo. She can't stand being separated for too long. Well, I mean, I think she's fine now, but she'll like bark because she doesn't want us to be where she's not. And if she hasn't gone out to potty and she'll hold it for like 12 hours, I'm not bringing her upstairs because I don't like cleaning carpet.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it was just, I mean, also, there's a people who listen to this podcast enough times will have heard me say more like, you might hear my dog bark. You'll have to deal with it. It'll be fine. I guess related to that, do you listen to music while you write?
I can only listen to something without lyrics, so I do a lot of classical and video game scores. So,
okay, who's your classical? Give me a classical, your top classical.
Chopin, Haydn, and Dvorak. I feel like I pronounce that wrong every time I say it. Dvorak. I can spell it. I can see it spelled.
Yeah, I was in orchestra in high school, so
nice. Okay.
I played all those. I played all those people.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Shostakovich person myself. But.
Yeah, and then there's I can't remember. I can look up his name. There's someone who's contemporary, and his cello is incredible, and I listen to a lot of his stuff too. And I can't remember his name right now.
I mean, the only modern day cellist that I know is Yo-Yo Ma, but he is kind of
like young.
Young,
like,
okay.
I want to say max 30. So yeah.
So he's really one of those annoyingly like genius people that you're like, well, how do they do that? How are they good?
I'll send you his stuff.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So, and what's a video game soundtrack? Give people a suggestion.
Assassin's Creed. My whole fantasy series was written to the original Assassin's Creed soundtrack, and then Valhalla. My last book was written to Valhalla. So, yeah.
I couldn't get into Valhalla.
Well, I couldn't play it, but the scores.
I mean, the rating, I didn't. It felt. It's fine. It's for all the people who are. If the 8 people there who play video games listening to this, they're like, "Oh yeah, Robbie, you're either I agree with you or I hate you." What is a practice that helps keep your writing momentum going?
Um, I have to, and I know a lot of people disagree with this practice. I do edit as I go, like not huge edits, but like I do have to change certain things because it honestly drives me batshit crazy when there's just so many mistakes, and I type and I write really fast, so there's always a lot of mistakes. And plus, I have chronic migraines, so my vision often does that. But
I'm sorry.
the just going back through and reading the last two pages that I previously wrote, it jumps me back into the scene. And I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but it's something that I have to do because I need to slip back into the feelings of the main characters.
I feel like I always I will warn it against like young baby writers. I was like, yeah, don't go back and edit because you'll get trapped in this cycle. But I also always give people the caveat. I'm like, there are professional writers with published work who do it, but they have done it and know how to, so they're allowed.
Yeah,
When you're starting, I would be careful,
definitely.
because there's people in my writing group who are like, I'm on chapter 3. I'm like, you've been in chapter 3 for a long time now because you keep
Yeah,
going back and just
yeah.
fixing things. You're like,
You don't want a vortex.
no, you want to keep
Yeah.
moving.
For I
Um,
mean, for me, it's more just like a proof edit, like just kind of
yeah.
like it's a
Well,
just
it's
a
also, I mean, when you say it jumps you back into the story,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it, it that, that is like you're like finding that wave. This is a bad metaphor. Finding the wave in the ocean and writing it again.
yep, exactly.
Um, when do you know a project is done?
Oh, uh, let's just say I never go back and read my books once they're published because I will always find a reason it's not done. I mean, I have to wrap up all of my multitudes of plot lines. So when I know that that's tied up well, and I feel like I have like completed my emotional investment in whatever's going on, I think that's probably when it's done. And I'm a huge fan of the third act breakup. I actually wrote a whole Substack on this, and it doesn't have to be romantic either. I mean, it's in general the idea of a third act breakup. You know what I mean? It's almost like that one last heist that needs to happen. So I always kind of continue moving. Like that's my centrifugal force. Centrifugal force. I can't speak today. Towards like that last breakup scene, that last heist, that last fight scene. Whatever it is, I
Right.
know that that's going to be that marker, and then it's just kind of end scene. That it's your final unskippable cutscene. So,
Um, what is the best piece of advice you followed?
say that again.
What is the best piece of advice you have followed?
Ooh, um, don't read your reviews. I think that's a huge one for me because I'm very sensitive.
It's a I I don't read mine.
Mm-mm.
I don't. I mean, I have read them only to advertise. I pull out but I look at 5 stars. I
Yeah,
sort to 5 star reviews and only look at those, and they're all 5 stars.
yeah,
So I won't hurt my feelings. Tells me how great I am, which
exactly.
I agree with. I am great.
Yeah, we don't have to change our opinions, right? Come on.
I mean, I don't. There are authors I know they're out there, and there's probably some writers listening to this who are like, "Well, I look at my reviews because I want to know what I need to work on." I'm like, don't go to your reviews for that, man.
No.
No, go to a beta reader, a writing friend, have them look at your work,
Yeah.
and you know them theoretically, so you could better understand their feedback anyway.
Yeah.
It's not good for your mental health.
No. No. It's
To,
definitely.
you don't to see the people who, especially like a 1 star review, like a 1 star review can be helpful in that it can weed out people that you don't want reading your book,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but you don't need to read it.
No.
No, that's
They
crazy. It's
Reviews are
craziness.
for readers, and
Right.
they're not for authors. They're not to hone your craft. They're not to do anything. They're just for readers. I have my husband vet my reviews and be like, "Can you just find something good? You know what I mean? Like, just pull something out and show it to me."
I don't. I doubt this. I mean, there's always bad reviews because there's a bunch of crazy people who read books, uh, or they go, oh, that book has something that's like, I don't know. I have a book with gay characters, so they just go, I get 1-star reviews about that, and I go, well, that's actually helpful because people will see that and go, oh no, that's what I want in my book.
Yeah.
I want, a big cast or whatever.
I had that happen with Stars Like Gasoline. Someone left a scathing review about the fact that I had gay characters, and it's like, also it was in the blurb too. Like, it's like, I'm not.
No, it's. I mean,
Like,
I don't know. It's people like that. That's all they see. They just see the things they hate. That's all that's there. There's nothing else in the world. It's just.
and again, that's for them. It's not for you. So
No, exactly. And I don't know. I am also like, well, I don't want them to read my book.
No.
So if that helps people who I want to read the book find it, and vice versa, good.
Yep.
How has your writing changed since you first started writing and since you first started publishing?
Ooh. I first started writing. I've been writing my whole life, and I did almost all short stories and poetry for a very long time. Apart from the novel that I wrote at 12, which was, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like,
I was gonna say 12 people.
Yeah.
The novel's 12-year-olds write. Always
yeah,
great.
absolutely. It was a vampire novel. Took place in an
Oh.
old creepy house. We're on brand. I really have some consistency here. So,
I was gonna say.
apart from that, it was short stories and poetry until 2018. I sat down and I was like, I have a story that needs to be told, and I started my fantasy series. And I think my writing has changed because I have learned better pacing. Even though I have a degree in creative writing, the pacing didn't click in until probably Stars Like Gasoline, and then in turn the last of my fantasy books. And I'm not saying it was terrible. It's just that I feel like I've gotten better at a quicker turnover. And then so that was my first foray into publishing, was my fantasy series, and then moved into Stars Like Gasoline. And then last year I released Blood Lily, which is a spicy vampire romance, and that was really my biting of the thumb at book banning, because I thought, I have a great idea. It's super bloody, it's super spicy, and it's going to be fun. Let's do it. And everyone's like, banning books, and so that's why I kind of just decided to go for it.
I don't know. I sometimes do wonder, should I write this? Will anyone want to publish this? I have a manuscript right now that I think is great, but I'm not sure that any publisher will want it. It starts with the president getting assassinated, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anyone wants that.
Might not be allowed yet.
I wrote this 18 months ago, so I didn't like, it was not in reaction to assassination attempts. It was written prior. Okay. But regardless, it's, I don't know. Sometimes you have stories you're like, well, I don't know if the public will like it.
Yeah.
Who cares? I think it's great.
Yeah.
What was your gateway horror media? The first thing that you watched, read as a youngin' in horror?
Okay. That's a really good question, because I have been reading absolutely inappropriately scary books since I was really little.
Right.
And somebody that was in 5th grade with me reached out when I first published my book. He's like, I remember you reading it when we were in 5th grade.
Oh, okay. That's pretty young for it. Yeah. That's like, what, 10, 9?
It was like
11?
Yeah, 10, 11. So I was like,
Yeah.
I read it. And I had read a lot of vampire stuff before that.
Okay, this is not one of my list of questions, but I'm asking you, what's your vampire book? The vampire book for you? Like the formative one.
Interview.
Okay.
I was obsessed
That makes sense.
with Anne Rice, and when I was When
Can
I
you move
was,
back? Can you move back to your left again?
oh, yep, sorry.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay,
Is
you're
that
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's good. No,
I'm
you're
in my
fine.
skinny chair, so like,
You're listening. You're good.
when I was like 12, I started reading Interview with the Vampire, became completely obsessed with her. Blew through the first 3 books. And then I was in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program of Greater Miami because my mom worked 3 jobs. And I had a big sister named Lillian who we would go to the bookstore all the time together. We went to Books and Books in Miami, and that was kind of like my safe place. And for Christmas one year, Lillian got me the Vampire Lestat graphic novel, which is really rare, and I still have it. It's so cool. And so she saw how much I love that, and she surprised me with taking me to the Tale of the Body Thief tour stop. So I actually got to meet Anne Rice, and so I have a signed copy of Tale of the Body Thief from 1992.
Wow.
So that was, yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's it's a recurring theme in this. Every time I ask that question, people are like, "I was reading things I should have been."
Oh yeah.
As a very young person, I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
My mother was like, he's fine. He's reading. He's reading. It's good. Reading is good for you. Who cares as long as he's reading? Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I was reading it. It took me a while to get to it. I think the length always intimidated me a little
really
bit.
shouldn't have.
No. Kids should not read it.
No.
I think I'm not gonna say obviously there's a lot of Stephen King stories I think kids should read, but it is too much. I think for a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it really kind of messed me up for a while. I do remember that, and I remember actually discussing it with my mom, and she's like, "Why did you read that?" Oh my god.
I'll wait till you're like 15.
Yeah.
I feel like that's fine, but
Yeah.
10, oh boy, there's a big difference. Let's do one more question. What is the hardest scene or character you've ever written, and what made it so difficult?
There was a scene in Stars Like Gasoline. So my main characters in Stars are Celia and her brother Oscar. And Oscar lost his fiance Nate in Afghanistan when they were just before they got married. His convoy was hit with an IED, and he passed away. And so when the story starts, it's about 18 months after Nate's death, and so Oscar is like finally coming out of his grief. And there's a scene later on in the book where he's with someone he's falling for, and he feels like all this there were 2 scenes where he's feeling like the intense guilt of like falling for somebody when he just he experienced losing like the love of his life. And there's a scene where he's with a new partner going through Nate's old things, and he's like pulling out his dog tags and things like that. And I remember being so upset by that scene. I was stomping around this office like, I don't know how to get through this, like without, and I'm already emotional like talking about it. It threw me. I was in a spin because Oscar, I think he's the character that I've been able to like really zero in on the most, and I feel like he's super misunderstood, and he's a fantastic, like to me he's just like a fantastic guy. Anyway, so being in his head for that was the hardest I think I've had to write.
You gotta go take a walk.
Yeah.
You gotta go take a deep breath, relax, take the rest of the day off. You're like, okay, I'm out of here.
Stomped it off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's every time. Again, that's the other thing is like I've also written. I'm like, I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I can't do this. That was too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, it also makes that writing more powerful.
I think
every time I write those types of scenes. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's always that. I don't know, especially when I'm talking to specifically horror authors. People only write horror. There's a stereotype that we're all horrible monsters with like darkness in our hearts, but actually we write horrible. We write scenes that bad things happen, and then it kills us. It destroys us. It rips out we rip out our own hearts on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It's a counter to the stereotype. Um, what is your question for our next guest?
Okay. If you were to transplant your main character into a completely other, like, new setting, time period, setting, anything, what would it be? And how would they react?
All right, that's an interesting question. I like it. We'll I will ask that to our next guest, and I'll report back. Let you know
Excellent.
if I don't. It might be a clip. It might not be, but I'll tell you either way. It might not make it to the social media feeds. Um, but we can, with that, move on to our final segment. It is time for blood. Time for trouble. Time for struggle. Be it nuts and bolts, be it ethos, be it philosophy, be it marketing, be it social media, be it just general business things. Could be anything, really. Could be anything you've had trouble with that maybe our listeners at home have also had to struggle with. And us talking about it can help them. Either recently, ongoing, whatever it might be. You have anything?
I'm always having trouble marketing, and everyone's always like, "Your marketing's great. Your platform looks great," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I need to sell books."
Yeah. I mean, trust the process.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean, I
they.
think that's really what it is. It's just, slow and steady. It's
I
just,
mean, I would agree. I think your marketing is good. I think your social. I mean, your social media presence is good. I feel like it's representative of your vibes, like of your writing. Like, because I didn't know, I hadn't read anything of you, and I'd follow you on social media first, and then I read this. Then I read Bromeliad House. I'm like, no, that feels right.
okay,
It felt like I was like, oh yeah, this is it. The vibes match, the style's the same.
excellent.
But I don't know. Do you worry about that a lot?
I do. I think I get in my own head a lot. The whole I'm not. We're constantly moving the needle. It's just I, I want to. Oh, I want to publish a book. Okay, well, I'll publish. I want my books in Barnes and Noble. Okay, my books in Barnes and Noble. My books aren't in that Barnes and Noble though. You know,
Right.
these people. They're doing so well. They're getting all these book deals. I'm not getting that, and it's not because I'm begrudging anyone else. Absolutely not. I'm like the biggest champion of everyone else. But I always feel like I'm moving my own personal needle, and so I feel like I'm not catching up, and I'm not like sociable enough because social media wears me out like beyond measure. I'm not an extroverted person, and I just I
Yeah.
tap out really easily. So it's just I just feel like I'm never measuring up, and and I think that's probably common in a lot of creatives.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was just gonna say same.
Yeah,
Where-
exactly.
well, I mean, it's like yeah, the fear of there's a this is I guess tangentially connected, but it's um there's a comedian Gianmarco Ceresi, who has his own podcast, The Downside, which is it's all about negative stuff, but he's funny, so it's not so negative. But someone asked him on his separate he was interviewed on, and he's like, "What are you afraid of?" And he says, "Mediocrity." He wants to be he doesn't want to be he's like I he is well known and he is very successful, but he thinks maybe there's this big crop of comedians that he's a part of, and am I going to be the last guy of that group?
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh man, that really hurt me when he said that, because that's what I'm like, am I just going to be? I don't want to be that, even though I don't. None of us are like anyone listening, anyone writing. You're different than anyone else. Like there's not some ranking system where like it's how you measure your own success, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it is still real. It's still there. It's still looming. And I don't know. I don't know. You're doing great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're doing great. You had a book tour in Florida.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to stop by, but I unfortunately personal matters kept me from driving up
It
to
was like,
White Rose.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
We'll be
48
back.
minutes. Yeah.
So it's some good time. I mean, my mom's there, so I really do try and get out as much as possible. to see my mom. So she's 82. And I like to
Wow.
live as much as I can.
Yeah. My mom is 75, 76. What's math? 50, 75, almost 76, turning 76. I think that is, again, probably a lot of people listening are nodding. They're going, yeah, yes, I understand that I mean, there's always like, theoretically, there's always more you could do. Right. And but that's not a healthy way to think. Like, oh, I should just keep doing more. You're like, no, well, you'll kill yourself.
Right.
You'll burn yourself out.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that this morning because I have a gym in my garage. I'm a personal trainer as well. So I was working out this morning and I was working on my pull-ups, but I'm going to be on Right Hive, the nonprofit. So I have a panel on this, and so I've been kind of formulating what I want to talk about is training in writing, especially in like fantasy books and things like that. I just kind of threw out the idea that if you have a 19-year-old girl who's been like traipsing the realm on horseback for 12 weeks and she's just eating spit roasted rabbit and like salt cod and doing drills all day, she might not have a period. She might not be doing that well. Like she might be falling out. This is not a healthy way for someone to live. And so just things that, we could be aware of more in writing, just from like a technical standpoint and my personal expertise on it. So that's just like part of what I was going to do. And it came up in my head as I was working on my pull-ups today. Because a few years ago I had multiple fractures in my hand, so my grip strength isn't great, and I have like full arthritis in this hand from it. So I was always like, okay, I need to get my first pull-up. Okay, I need to get 3 strict pull-ups, 5, 10. It took me a really long time to get 10. Well, I'm back at 3 because of my hand. So it's like we're always moving the needle, and it's very often wildly out of our control what's controlling the wobble of the needle. And yet we're still always forcing it forward, even though sometimes we need to let it wobble and figure it out on its own, like a compass. So that was kind of what I was thinking of this morning, and that's, how I am with my books too. It's like I'm always pushing that needle, like I'm not successful enough, I haven't done this. Oh, I haven't sat down to write today, I haven't hit my word count goal. It's like, okay, or we can just like let the needle wobble for a second and figure out what I need to do. Sorry.
I mean, it's not linear. It's not you're not just gonna go straight up exponential growth. Oh, I wrote a book, therefore it will be successful. And then I wrote another one, and that one will be more successful. You're like, no, that's not how it works.
No.
It might not do well. It might bomb.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it I would say it's actually better to have that experience, because then you get it over with and you're just like, oh, well, it's fine. I'll write another book. It'll be fine. It doesn't matter. I still love the book. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
People will find it, maybe. This is entirely disconnected from writing, but speaking of grip strength, I get lots of insane men training grip strength in my Instagram feed. So that's all I saw. And this is strange enough. I finally saw an insane woman training her grip strength in my Instagram feed.
Oh, cool.
I mean, insane in that like it is like her life's mission to have the best grip strength in the world. And you're like, okay, I'm not doing bucket exercises for 6 hours today.
Yeah, no. I always tell people, like, an easy way to do it is don't put your gas on like the automatic thing. Actually hold it.
Gas. Yeah. I mean, it's like any kind of workout, just enough. You don't need to do it for 6 hours straight or whatever. You don't need to kill yourself. But I mean, that's also connected to writing. Don't kill yourself with your writing, or with the expectations of your own writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't control it a lot of the time.
Nope. Let the needle wobble.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Let the needle wobble. That's another good metaphor. We've been collecting metaphors.
Collecting.
Yeah, collecting metaphors, and that's a good one. Let the needle wobble. A
little bloody book of metaphors. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally. It is. That's how we get them. You have to figuratively bleed a little bit, and then you learn about it in the end. Um, before we go, we've been doing this lately. I've been doing this lately. Who's we? It's me. It's my
The
podcast,
royal
my
we.
show. Yeah, the royal we. I got a mouse in my pocket. Uh, we, the royal we, have been manifesting something we want for our career. So before you go, Jessica, would you say manifest something you would want for your near to intermediate career in the near to intermediate future, something you'd like to happen, and we'll try and make it happen just by speaking it out loud.
I really want a literary agent. I've been querying.
Amen. Hey, yeah, me too.
It's, I don't want to say it's time, but it's time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's I. I sent out a query literally right before we started recording
well,
to a new agent, an agent I discovered. I'm like, oh, okay,
nice.
might as
Nice.
well.
Well, I wish you luck with that.
I thank you. Are here? Well, I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna lie and say that we're not actually done because I'm gonna ask you this. Are you actively querying right now?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Can you say what the type of story it is?
It is a revenge thriller steeped in Florida Gothic.
All right. Hey, if I was an agent, I'd be like, hell yeah, I want it. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm
full
just
of
a
female
schmuck.
revenge.
That's hey,
Uh,
that's very popular right now.
yeah.
Female rage, that's very that's you're gonna get an agent. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, now truly, before we go, where should people buy Bromeliad House?
Okay.
And where can they find you online?
Online, I'm Jessika Grewe Glover, pretty much everywhere except TikTok, where they cut off the last two letters of my name. But like no one sees me on TikTok anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, and my Substack is pretty active. If I would actually get my butt back to writing it, I do love my Substack, so I like to connect that way. And it's Jessika Grewe Glover. And as far as buying Bromeliad House, I'm a big fan of indie bookstores. So wherever your favorite indie is, have them order the book. If you do that, let me know on social media, and I'm happy to send you a signed bookplate. Otherwise, bookshop.org. It's available everywhere in paperback, hardback, and ebook. And all of the rest of my books are as well.
All right. I'll have links to that in the show notes. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.